Cape Town Art Fair also means that so many international galleries are coming, and I'm particularly excited about Circle Art Gallery, who come from Nairobi in Kenya, and I was happy to sit down with Danda, the gallerist, and Sujay, the artist who they'll be exhibiting at Cape Town Art Fair. So I'm delighted to be speaking to both of you. I'm very excited, of course, because Circle Art Gallery is coming to the Investec Cape Town Art Fair once again. They'll be showing your work, Sujay, and I'm delighted because I've had a look, of course, at your practice, and I think the message that you're bringing is one that everyone will really resonate with. And the theme of Cape Town Art Fair being listen, I thought it was quite apt that we listen to your story and find out a bit more about you, Danda, and Circle Art Gallery, but then in particular about you, Sujay, our artist, and the message that you'll be bringing to Cape Town Art Fair. Danda, I'm going to start with you just to give me context, firstly, in terms of Circle Art Gallery. I know about the amazing East Africa auction that you hold. I also sit on the advisory board of Strauss & Co. So I'm familiar with the amazing work that's being done. But please tell me about the gallery. It started quite a number of years ago. How did it come about and take its space in Nairobi?
We are 13 years old, nearly 14 years old. I came from a non-profit art background. I was running a space, Quona Trust, which gave artists training and studio space, but realized what we were needing was a world-class gallery that also showed internationally and that promoted East African artists because they were less known generally across the continent. So the Cape Town Art Fair was the very first art fair we ever did, which was terrifying. In 2015, I think we were 2 years old at that point. And, we'd had 2 years to sort of learn how to run a commercial gallery and what commercial galleries around the world did. And of course, one of those things was to participate in art fairs. So as well as the exhibitions we were holding, we began with you, which was a good soft entry. So we've been, I think, at Cape Town we've maybe given it a break 1 or 2 years for financial reasons or because artists didn't have work ready for us. But we're back again this year.
Fantastic. Sujay, you have, I know you were with the fellowship with Wangeshi Mutu. I've of course, researched your amazing career thus far. I thought your subject matter, I find that a very interesting and powerful one to deal with, especially in Nairobi, but then in particular in South Africa as well. The history of our country, it's a complicated one. Can you tell me about what you'll be presenting at Cape Town Art Fair?
So that body of work was based on colonial trophy hunting history in Kenya, I was playing around with value systems and questioning and satirizing some of the depictions and how conservation and safari has been positioned and trying to unearth that, but having humor and other things. But since then, and I've been exploring this body of work for maybe 5 years, I've been transitioning. So my work has taken a turn, and now the work I'm going to be presenting at Cape Town Art Fair they're going to be hybrids, human, animal, with some cyborg elements. And I'm trying to bring more complexity into certain subjects and have, I think, more mystery and ambiguity and a slower relationship to reading something versus it being so, in your face.
Mm-hmm. And then Danda, how did you decide to bring Sujay to Cape Town Art Fair with the theme, the curatorial theme being listen? Is it that you would say you want us to listen a bit deeper to the messaging coming through in his new body of work?
I think Sujay's work has really matured recently, and I'm really excited about the direction that it's taking. He is a really exceptional painter, and each year we try to introduce, I think we perhaps often use the Cape Town Art Fair as our sort of first introduction to a new artist, having exposure on the continent. I mean, Sujay's shown in America, he studied in America, but so far we've only shown him in the gallery, in group, and in his solo show, which actually opened our new giant space in 2023. Yeah, 2023. So I think this new body of work is fascinating and requires quite a lot of concentration and thinking. Art fairs tend to be quite chaotic places where people are rushing from booth to booth, looking to see what the new thing is that they haven't seen before. And I'm hoping that we will slow people down and have them really study his paintings and take time to try to understand them and ask lots of questions, which hopefully I'll be able to answer. Or we'll try and get Sujay there too.
I'm hoping, Sujay, that you do come to Cape Town Art Fair. Of course, I'm excited to see you, Danda, and to actually meet you face to face. But I think, who was it? John Baldessari, who said, with artists and art fairs, and I think it was a little bit of an interesting one. I don't know if you know the quote. He said, artists and art fairs, you shouldn't really come to the art fairs. It's kind of like, it's like your parents having sex. You know it's happening, but you don't want to see it happen. Where the galleries are interacting with the collectors. Sujay, as an artist, do you feel that it's important to go to art fairs? Do you enjoy watching people? Do you sort of enjoy going perhaps with people without people knowing? Do you enjoy sometimes going without people knowing that you're the artist and watching their reactions to your work?
I think so, for sure, because sometimes when you're directly in front of the artwork, you're asked, what does it mean? And, and everyone wants a quick or literal or a soundbite kind of answer. And sometimes it's good to see them taking their time and really, looking and asking themselves questions.
You've never been to an art fair or to Cape Town in particular for the art fair?
To an art fair internationally. And the art fairs in Nairobi haven't, there's a Kenya art fair, but I wouldn't say it's to the same kind of standard. So it would be interesting to see potentially my first art fair if I do manage to come. Yeah.
I'll hold thumbs. Danda, what is your opinion on Baldessari's comment about artists and art fairs?
I think it's really fair. I think it's very fair. I think when you get to an art fair or an auction, you're quite far away from the creative process. And I think it can be really scary and intimidating for artists to see their art being presented as a commodity, as something for sale. In an exhibition, you have a whole body of work, and the artist has a lot of time to interact with the audience. So I think you have to have quite a tough stomach for it. But the great thing about the Cape Town Art Fair is people generally are very welcoming, and there are so many events that are happening around the fair, so many exhibitions and so many opportunities for artists to go to, the great galleries in the city and to Zeitz and to Norval and other places. So it's a good educational experience. So perhaps a bit different from sort of walking around Art Basel, getting more and more terrified.
I agree with you there. I think for me, I've started going to art fairs about 4 years ago. And the experience of Art Basel is very different to Cape Town. Of course, we've got Art Basel happening in Doha, and that's just before Cape Town Art Fair. It's been interesting also. Would you say that there's a big interest in African artists in the Middle East as well? I think you've spent some time in Abu Dhabi as well, Sujay, if I'm not mistaken.
I did not actually end up going to Abu Dhabi, but it was really awesome to be part of an exhibition that an Indian curator, Premjish Achari, curated there. And it was crazy because it included the work of Kara Walker as well. So it's very amazing to be part of that.
Good company to be in. And Danda, for you as a gallerist, have you seen quite a big interest from the Middle East as well in galleries from the continent?
We did the Art Dubai for many years. I haven't done Abu Dhabi yet, and I'm really interested to see how it goes in Qatar. We're not participating. I think that there should be much more interest. I don't think there's enough yet, particularly given historical trade routes and the history between the Gulf and Kenya and the East African coast. There definitely should be a wider connection, but I think with all collectors of African art, what we've seen is the people who most engage are people who have some connection to the region, whether it's family or business or family or business, or they've lived there, or they have a particular connection somehow. Those seem to be the people that are the most supportive of us.
Sujay, for you as an artist, you've of course grown up in Kenya. You've had a chance to see beyond the boundaries of Kenya. But what would you say as contemporary African artists? What is it that they need the most to be able to thrive in a global context? What would you say that you need the most? What would help you in terms of your practice and visibility as an artist?
I think yeah, but spaces are growing in East Africa, especially Nairobi. Libraries, art books, just access to more knowledge, like critical thinking. So I think even just having really good art universities in Kenya would also really help and shape the scene. Yeah, more critical places for dialogue. Yeah.
It is interesting also, I work with Zaid and watching the fellowships that they've put in place there, of course, by the late and great Koyo Kwo, but the fellowships that they have to encourage people from across the continent to have these critical thinking programs where we are engaging more, because I think it's also interesting. Africans need to travel the continent more to understand the context in which we live and to have a different collector base. I do think it would be such a beautiful day one day when most African art, contemporary African art, is actually collected by collectors on the continent. For you, Danda, having watched your gallery grow, as you said, you moved into your big space. What has excited you most about contemporary art on the continent?
I think the increase in platforms for artists to show their work is huge. The increase in really good spaces for artists to exhibit, whether it's museums. I mean, we still need more museums. We're always quoting Jaroljmek and Makal, but we're seeing spaces springing up. There's the new space in Rwanda, Kagi.
A phenomenal space, yes, Kami.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So I think that there are many more spaces. I mean, we've always, many years ago, I worked for the Triangle Arts Trust. That was this sort of spider's web of artist networks, and the idea of that was for artists to connect across the continent first before they looked north. And that's obviously been a really important part of my development as a someone in the arts. So for us, having collectors from West Africa and from South Africa, as well as Kenya and Uganda, obviously, and Ethiopia and Sudan, but having collectors coming from those regions are really, really important. And we really try to take care and nurture and show them the riches that we have here in East Africa in very different types of art. That's always been really huge, and that's why fairs like Cape Town and Artex, because you're still and Joburg, of course, as well. There still aren't very many art fairs, and we in Kenya are nowhere near being able to present an international art fair. So we're really all quite envious of you.
We're happy that the entire continent embraces Cape Town Art Fair as an opportunity for us all to connect, because to me that's the important thing. It feels like it's exciting to see all of the galleries coming down, and also to see so many artists come down. I think currently we have AFMAC. I don't know if you're aware of the initiative with Julie Moretu and Merit Mandafo from Ethiopia. And they've done these workshops in terms of African media and creativity across the continent. They were in Nairobi, I think in November or December of 2025. And they're currently in Cape Town. And that's been wonderful to see how there's collaboration across the continent. I think it's one of those areas as well. We need to tell African stories in African voices. I think a lot of artists that I've spoken to have said that it's so important. Chinua Achebe said, the great writer from Nigeria, until the lion has its own historians, the hunt will always glorify the hunter. And for me, it's so exciting to see African artists having their voices heard. And I love the fact that the theme of the Cape Town Art Fair is listen, because I think it's so important in terms of this time that we live in. Everything is about instant gratification. And you said as well, Sujay, you'd like people to stop and to spend some time thinking in front of your piece. What is the main message that you think the world needs to hear more of through art? And this is a question to both of you. I know it's a very philosophical question, but I do feel with all of the sort of seismic shifts in terms of the world, it's so important that we stop and listen to each other.
I think the most important thing is people coming together, because all the problems in the world are because people think about the other, that we're opposed to, and art is a bringing together. It's a great place for people from all walks of life and different cultures to experience something wonderful. So yeah, coming together and being all part of one planet, one world.
Absolutely agree with that, because I think, there's a lot of polarization, cynicism, things like that pervading, and so yeah, coming together, listening, absolutely. Slowing down, getting away from always being online. Pausing, slowing down. Important.
And then, Sujay, I suppose this is a question I probably should have asked at the start, but take me to the start. What made you decide to become an artist?
It's okay. So I think it was that sense of having a freedom and autonomy, and so I was always drawing. That's always a standard story here from all artists. But I think when I was in college, I went there thinking I'll be a graphic designer, and I took some painting classes, and I just fell in love with just everything about it, the conversations, actually making things. I think when I entered university, it's like, okay, and then I just stayed in painting, and then from that, it was just like, I know I want to keep doing this for the rest of my life. I don't think I have a profound sense of story, but it's also that activity that allows you to, get lost in something without always also knowing what you're doing. And that was really sort of gratifying and uplifting in a way.
I do find it profound still, CJ, because not a lot of people actually listen to themselves as well and take time to sit with their thoughts. I think that's when you spoke earlier as well about scrolling and everybody being online. not many people take the time to sit and be still with their thoughts. And I think that's where art and artists connect us, not just with the work that they do, but also with ourselves. So I want to thank you for the work that you're bringing to Cape Town Art Fair. I'm excited to see. Danda, thank you very, very much for bringing Circle Art Gallery to Cape Town. I'm hoping I will see you in Cape Town, Sujay, because it's always a wonderful opportunity to create with, or to connect with artists from across the continent. But yes, thank you very, very much for taking time, and thank you for being guests on Audacity.
Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you so much for having us.